morning, beautiful people of Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean. Happy International Education Day or Day of Education. We want to welcome you. Welcome to Book Club Corner, where every Wednesday we chat with authors, local authors, stakeholders of the publishing industry, and we chat about books, we chat about the literary arts, and we chat about what's happening with the publishing industry itself. And we want to welcome today with us our guest. She's not a local author. We have something very special for you today. We have the social media manager slash marketing manager at Blue Edition Bookstore, Rawle-Ann Risha Gibbons. She's also the founder of Integrated Music Academy. She has a master's in creative and media enterprises, and she's also a music composer. Welcome with us today, Rawle-Ann.
Hi, good morning.
Hi. it's it's good to see you.
Same to you.
And we're happy to have you on board with us today. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited for this interview.
Fantastic. So, Rawle-Ann, before we get into it, because we know why you're here today, we usually chat with authors talking about their books, the publication process, their ideas for writing. But we've been getting questions lately from authors, published authors, asking the question, how do I get into bookstores? I've been turned down. They're not getting back to me. I'm not hearing anything from them. So I said, you know what? I think we need to start to speak to the bookstores, the other stakeholders in the publishing industry. And you and your family were so open to being here first, right? So you're the first bookstore to be on
Thank
Book
you.
Club Corner. Where the drums? Where's the confetti, right? Tell us a bit about Blue Edition Bookstore. I know it's in Tunapuna, it's on the main road in Tunapuna, right? Off the main road. And you're one of the partners with the Tobago Writers Guild. That's how I know about you all. And I tell everybody about Blue Edition Bookstore, right? Try and get your book in there. So tell us about your bookstore and how it started. What was its genesis?
Okay, well, we started in 2003. It was actually the dream of my father, Roel Gibbons, to have a reader's bookstore of filled with books of different interests, primarily in the performing arts. And my mom, who is also a partner in the business, Patricia, because she was running the day-to-day activities, she realized that there was a demand for music books. So we expanded to serve music education. So right now our collection is history, religion, cookery, um, carnival, and music education.
Okay, so what I'm
Yeah.
hearing from you all is that this is a passion project of your parents, and like all good parents, they rope in their children to work with, right?
Yes, yes. In fact, even the logo that you see above me here, that
Yes.
blue was created by my sister, one of my sisters. She's an artist. So all of us had a little hand in developing and contributing to this bookstore. Yeah.
I love that. So this is a family-run and operated bookstore. Tell us where
Yes.
persons can find you before we get into the back scenes of what's going on with a bookstore. Tell us where a person, coming to Trinidad and Tobago from Tobago or in Trinidad, how can they find you?
Well, we are on St. Vincent Street in Tunapuna, which is the street directly opposite the Tunapuna market from the main road. So the market is a good landmark for people. Um, and they could either walk up the street, is about halfway up, or come around because the street is one way from a certain point, right? We are
Mhm.
also online. We have a website, blueedition.com. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. You could call or message us at 365 0219.
Beautiful. I know one of the authors who has his book at your bookstore. That's Clement Williams, and he always tells people, yeah, you can buy it online from Blue Edition, right? So we have to talk about that. Rawle-Ann, I have a scenario for you, but before I get into that,
Sure.
guys, today, as we will be doing for the rest of January, today we are sipping on coconut water. Right? I have some delicious, refreshing coconut water and jelly. Let me show off my jelly because when I go home, I'm going to get into this. I got jelly. And I got jelly from this really new business across the road from Port Mall in Scarborough, and his business is called Kieran's, and he does listen, he runs a clean operation. His coconut water is always on point, just the right mix of young coconuts, sweet coconuts, you know, the ones where they get in the little thick jelly. This one, I see him out there this morning, he working hard. Y'all, please, we support local, right? Our economy will not keep turning if we don't support our own. So if you're in Tobago, if you're in Scarborough and you want a little refreshment, a little hydration, check out Kieran's business. He's right opposite the Port Mall in Scarborough. He has a tent. You can't miss him. Full of coconuts, right? All kind of coconuts. Shiny coconut, the green ones, the big one, all kind. Rawle-Ann, what you drinking?
I drink in pear drops. I still, I
Cheers!
still in the vibe from Christmas. Cheers.
I know how it goes. Fantastic. So I have a scenario for you. So let me get
Sure.
comfortable because I love a good story.
Okay.
Knock, knock, knock on your door in front of Blue Edition, right? Or they call you tring, tring, tring. I am a published author, right? We have to do the whole setup. I'm a published author. I have a book. I would love to have my book in your store. Tell me how this call goes or how this meeting goes for this author to hear a yes. What needs to happen? Tell us. Go, Rawle-Ann.
Well, the first thing is I would like a synopsis of the book. And even in terms of how they present it, based on certain keywords, we would know if that book is a good fit for our business. So part of it, before they approach, I would suggest that they research the bookstores, the communities that they would want their book in, and use that to inform how they approach the bookstore owner. So the best example I could give is the same Clement Williams. He wrote a book called Disney Film Heritage with
Yes.
Jazad Ali in Trinidad. And Jazad Ali called, but because he did his research before about the types of books that we carry, which is mainly in the cultural industry, right? Cultural books, culture of Trinidad and Tobago. He knew how to phrase it in such a way that we could draw parallels to the stock that we already have and determine whether or not this would be a good fit for the business. If you are coming physically to the store, so you still need that kind of elevator pitch, they like to call it, but you would also need a physical copy of the book for us to see what it is, um, the size of it, the quality of it, because we are very big on quality as well, right? And then what would be the terms for the contract? So if it's goods on consignment, what you are asking for the book, if we say yes, what are you asking for the book, then we could determine what the market would allow, what percentage we could take from the sale of the book. So those three things: the research on the bookstore, physical copy of the book, and the terms.
Fantastic. Let me tell you, you hit on so many things you don't even know. So you said, I heard you say keywords, right? And that in our book marketing world, that goes directly to what we call the BISAC codes, right? So how
Yes.
the books are categorized in the bookstore and in the libraries. They use the same code. And you also said they need to have an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Rawle-Ann, I am telling you, I have spoken to a few authors and we've talked about this elevator pitch. And It is a brief summary, a brief bio of your book, right? I have had authors who know what that elevator pitch is. They're ready for you, right? As soon as you say, what is your book about? In 5, 10 seconds, they can tell you about the book. Others, they're rambling on for a whole hour, 3 hours past. The next day, they're still telling you, and nobody knows what the book is about, right? So we're just putting it out there. You've said some very important things, an elevator pitch. When you go to stores, authors, the staff, the whoever is dealing with authors who are bringing books, the consignment person, they have busy schedules. So, they may not have time to sit with you for 2 hours to really dig out of you what your book is about. So go prepared. That's what you're saying, Rawle-Ann. Come prepared to
Yes.
sell your book to us as to why it should be in our bookstore. Yes?
Yes. I would also like to point out with the elevator pitch, something that some authors might find useful is drawing parallels to similar books. For example, Keon Francis, when he pitched his book to us, The Children of the Eternal Mother, he drew parallels to foreign books, but we understood what he was saying, like Harry Potter, The Hobbit. There was a
Mm-hmm.
series called Animorphs. So we instantly knew that it was a fantasy novel. But because he explained that it's based on traditional carnival characters and local culture, we understood that it was his take on a local fantasy novel. So it helps us know how to sell, who we looking to sell to, you know,
Yes.
when you
Um,
draw parallels like that. Yeah.
That is so important. The elevator pitch must speak directly to the heart of the book, right? We don't want all the
Yeah.
backstory. We just want, those cogent points about what is your book about and how does it fit into our ethos as a bookstore? Because every bookstore
Yes.
has their own mission to accomplish their own objective. And you all are called the culture shop, right? You all are
Yes.
patting in yourself as a space where cultural things from Trinidad and Tobago can definitely be found there, right? I saw you all have a description, the music maven, right? I love that. A culture
Yes.
shop where the music maven and the culture junkie, everybody meets in this little space. And I thought that was so cute because those are keywords for your shop, right? And that's what you're telling
Yes.
authors
Yes.
they need to have. When we talk about books behind the scenes, because authors come, we have these conversations. I'm not new to this, they're not new to this, and they tell me, you hear them say, bookstores, they refuse me, nobody got back to me. I called, I sent an email, nobody got back to me, and that means they don't want local books. And I had to say to one author, it wasn't one, but it's a few of them. They believe if they didn't get chosen or if their book isn't, if they don't get a yes immediately for the book from the bookstore, that the bookstore perhaps doesn't want local authors, doesn't like local content, and that's not true. I do believe a bookstore is a business, right?
Yes.
And just like any business, you have bills to pay.
Yes. Yes, we do.
So could you speak to us about the behind the scenes so that people understand, right? A bookstore is not a bookshelf for you to just stock a book and leave it. It is for people to come purchase. So,
Yeah.
bookstores don't want to put a book in there if there is going to be the opportunity every weekend for them to send out a staff member with a feather duster to dust off your book because nobody is looking at your book, right? Rawle-Ann, did I get it right?
Yeah, you're very correct. Even in terms of response times, I mean, for us at the Blue Edition, because we have so many other things doing at the same time, we might not on purpose forget to respond right away. So follow up from the author is also very key. is not necessarily that it's a no outright if you don't hear from them. You could still drop a line, a message, an email, just to see where they are in the process, because sometimes we like to read the book before we put it on the shelf as well, right? If we have a physical copy.
Yes.
But in terms of, you know, you kind of touching on profit margins for a bookstore when you're talking about bills and that kind of thing too, right? But we we try to be very fair to the authors, because we love, the Blue Edition loves local authors, right? So we always try to give credit there and to put them at the forefront most of the time. If it is that we cannot facilitate your book, we also recommend other stores that you can reach out to, to help with the sale of your books, right?
I
Yeah.
really
So
love
I
that
would
you just
suggest.
don't leave them. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Roland.
No, no, no. I was just saying that I would really suggest following up with the bookstore. Have a contact with a person, whether it is a manager or a clerk, and you follow up. You know,
And
just so that you have official.
authors, when you're following up or your initial visit, it would be really nice to sometimes, one, have a business card to leave, right? Or if you have any marketing material about your books, because many authors have several books. So perhaps you may
Yes.
have a brochure with all the books that you say, or this kind of card people do, and you have a picture of the author and all the books and a little write-up on it. It helps because they may not remember, right? They deal with many authors, and you may not remember who it is, Anastasia Brown, what she had. So now you could pull up a file, right? And this is not a real person. If there's an Anastasia Brown out there who's written a book, don't come for me. I don't know you. And, we're not calling you out. I'm just pulling a name out of a hat. So, Anastasia Brown, who is this? And nobody can remember. Anastasia, if you're leaving the bookstore, you're checking bookstores, walk with some business cards, some brochures, some little handouts. Let them remember you, right? I remember when I was a student at school, my mother used to make sure every Monday morning I go into school with something for the teacher, right? So the teacher will make sure she must help me learn because I brought something for her, whether it's sugar cake, sweet bread, and many of you all remember that. I don't know if your parents were into that, Rawle-Ann, but yeah, you have to make sure the bookstore remembers you. Drop off a gift. Drop one of your mugs. You have merchandise. Drop a mug for them and say, I'll leave in this with you all. Make sure you have a name for the person you spoke to, right? Don't just write it down because you're not going to remember. Trust me. Write it down. Have a book. If you go to 10 bookstores, write down what day you went, what time you went, who you spoke to. If you didn't speak to anybody, write that down too. I have to return to this bookstore to speak to somebody. And leave a business card, right? Nobody is going to fault you for making sure that they remember who you are. Rawle-Ann, let me digress for a minute, because I hear your father name Rawle, you name Rawle-Ann, right? What is
Yes.
your sister name Rawle-Ann?
One of them, well, it's three sisters I have. So it is Tinuke, Adiola, and Isana.
Well, I was just waiting to hear the whole of y'all, right? If he name everybody one time, because my middle name is Ramona and my father was Raymond, so I just was curious. All these little things I'm curious about, because when you're writing books, all these little things could go in it. You know what I mean? So I was always
Yes,
tuck away
very good.
these little things for later. Right, authors, we do that. We like little pieces of stories. We pull on threads because we might have to write them down and put them in our stories. We're going on a quick break, Rawle-Ann, but we'll be back. When we come back from this break, we want to chat with Blue Edition about consignment agreements, right? What does that look like? Who needs to have that consignment agreement? And what else does an author need to be attractive to a bookstore? We'll see you in a few minutes. And welcome back, authors, publishers, bookstores and bookstore owners and bibliophiles like myself, readers, consumers of the written word. Welcome back to Book Club Corner, and every Wednesday we're right here at Tobago Updates in beautiful Scarborough, the capital of Tobago, where we chat with local authors about their books. We talk to stakeholders in the publishing industry, and today here with us we have Miss Rawle-Ann Risha Gibbons. She is the social media / marketing manager of Blue Edition Bookstore. Rawle-Ann,
Okay.
welcome back.
Thank you.
when we went for break, we talked about, I said we were going to come back and talk about consignment agreements, right? We don't want to waste any time. We're going to get back into this thing. Tell me because people are always wondering, what is a consignment agreement? Do I just come and drop my books in the bookstore and come back every weekend, come back every week and check? Or do I need to have something in place that really specifies what the relationship is between myself and the bookstore before I walk away and leave my books there? Tell us about that.
Yes, because we accept at the Blue Edition, we accept books that are on consignment, right? Goods that are on consignment. Because if after a certain period we don't sell your books or we don't sell all of the books, we have to be able to return them, right? So the goods on consignment form needs to specify the quantity that you're leaving with us, the title of the book, the amount owed to you. You could even throw in a suggested retail price if you wanted to remain at a certain level across the country, right? And space for both the author and the bookstore to sign, a bookstore representative to sign. The date and contact information for the author could be on the consignment form as well.
Beautiful. I like how you just itemize very simply, right? Because agreements can get very verbose. They could get this on, they could be pages and pages, chapters. But you just simply talked about the essentials that must be
Yes.
in this consignment agreement. So the author, place the sign for the author and for the distributor, whether it's a bookstore, a coffee shop, a custom, duty-free custom store in the airport, whatever it might be, what the book is, the name of the book, and perhaps even what the book is about, some keywords, right? And what we
True.
want in quantities. How many books
Yes.
did you leave? What is your suggested retail price, as you said, in case they want to make sure that they could say, well, all my books are X amount across Trinidad and Tobago, their suggested retail price, and for the persons to make sure that, what we're doing. And I like that you said that's what needs to be in the agreement. And just for those out there, consignment really means if we don't sell it, you get it back, right? So sometimes you
Yes.
have a bar on consignment. You do events, you do a wedding and your bar on consignment. Anything we don't open, the company takes back and we only pay for what we use. And it's similar with the books. So you only pay or you only get paid for the books that they sell, not all the books they took from you. And if they don't sell the books, as Rawle-Ann is saying, they will return the book to you unless this is something, rolling forward. Right, Rawle-Ann?
Yes. Yes. And
Fantastic.
I want to also touch on one thing before we move on with the authors and the bookstores, because even with the goods on consignment, it's building a relationship. Just like how you spoke about carrying a snack, sweetbread for your teacher every Monday. That is the key thing. So even if you leave books here on consignment, it's on you as the author to maintain contact with the business. Like if you check in at the end of a quarter, at the end of every 6 months, it is on you to show that interest in your sales of your book and to keep building that relationship with the bookstore, you know?
Listen, guys, Rawle-Ann here from Blue Edition is touching on some very key and important aspects of putting your books in a bookstore. They are not, you can't do the bookstore like you always do teachers, right? Drop your children off in the morning and forget about them. And hopefully somebody will bring them home. Some of your parents do that, right? Not all. But you can't drop the books by Blue Edition and disappear for the rest of your life, right? Blue Edition is, you have to follow up with your books. Check on your books, go back in, find out what's going on. And for those authors who may be traveling, you're in the diaspora, so you don't live in Trinidad and Tobago most of the time, see if there's somebody you can ask, right? A representative, a family member, a friend. Could you check on my books ever so often? But please remember, you have to do the follow-up and caller, because do not say, I'll get somebody to check on it and that's it. Follow up with that person as well. So I like that we talked about consignment agreements. We talked about that follow up that is necessary, right? What's going on with my book sales? What do I need to do to continue getting book sales?
Yes.
Because a lot of times authors launch the book, they put a lot of activity and effort into that launch, making sure people know about their book for the launch, and the launch happens, they go to the bookstore, drop it off, and punto
That's it.
final, everything done,
Yeah.
right? You can't do that. Rawle-Ann, tell us, because I talk to authors, let me just say, I talk to authors and I say, listen, authors, if you're going to go to a bookstore and you visit the bookstore, if there's a space in the bookstore that you see, you can put up a really nice display. Suggest it. Bring your own stuff, right? Be like, and this is not about anybody, but I really admire them. Be like the Jehovah Witness when they in town selling the books. They have a whole rack. They listen, they have a whole shop. Be like that and come with all your stuff. Walk with your display rack. Walk with your books. Walk with, if you have a cutout of yourself, walk with your cards. Walk with all your marketing material, right? Don't just say, bookstore, I want to put, where in here I could put my book? I could put it on your shelf over there, over here. So tell us about how attractive is an author who comes to you, Rawle-Ann, and says to Blue Edition, I have my own display rack. I have a cutout. I have promotional things. I want to do a promotion once a month. I want to come in and make sure things are popping with my book and my merchandise as well, because I have journals, I have pens, I have cups, I have mugs. How attractive is such an author to a bookstore like you?
That is actually very attractive because it shows initiative on the part of the author. I would say, because again, that lends itself to the building of a relationship with the bookstore, right? So if you have a plan as to having promotional activity, even if it's just paid for ads online, that and you include the outlets for your books, right? That shows that you are invested in this, just as the bookstore is invested in supporting you realize your dream, right? So if you come and you say you want to have a reader in every quarter, because I know time is also important for authors, so you may not be available all the time, but if you say every quarter you want to have a reading, that is something that for the Blue Edition we'll be able to incorporate other local businesses as well. And you would have people coming into the store. This is a different kind of marketing event to be able to build interest in your book, you know?
Yes, indeed. And I love how
Right?
you said you'd incorporate other authors. If a person is coming in every quarter, the bookstore may even say, you know what, we're going to jump on this and we're going to make this, a real bonanza of reading. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be this one standalone person. How
No.
has marketing been for your bookstore in terms of the books you have on hand, Rawle-Ann? What can an author expect from a bookstore? If anything, right? This is a question we're asking, we're curious. What can an author expect in terms of marketing efforts from a bookstore? What happens?
Well, for us, we use the social media as usual. We would highlight the author. If they have more than one book, I started doing author highlights every week if they have more than one book in the shop, right? To bring exposure to their writing. We also put them up on the website, and we have a page dedicated to local authors. So I would say if you come into the Blue Edition to also have your bio available, soft copies, that we'll be able to put it up on the website, right? But in terms of specific marketing, that has been on the authors that we've had in the past. So one of the authors, the same jazz at Ali, he would place his ads in books, in magazines that directly target his audience. So we would facilitate the delivery because we ship outside, we ship regionally and internationally, and we ship locally, right? So that was our main function with his latest publication.
Okay. I love how you said that, the author also has a part to play in it, but you like what he did in terms of marketing, putting that ad in magazines that would be distributed to his target audience. So an author needs to know who their target audience is, right?
Yes, yes,
I mean, how can you target an audience if you don't know who they are, right, Roland?
yeah, yeah.
Who
Please.
is Blue Edition's target audience?
Well, right now we because of the wide variety, it is teachers and students, right? Also foreign students when they visit for Carnival in particular, because we are located in the East, and the material that we have, they tend to come to us, the visiting students. Yeah.
I like that. Let me tell you what I liked that I heard that I liked. The diaspora. Because a lot of times people are looking for gifts, souvenirs, little tokens of remembrance, of their trips to carry back for their family home. And it's nice to have. I'm a Trini to the bone. I'm a Trinbagonian T-shirt. It's even better to have a book from Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, we have a
Yeah.
lot of look. It is even better to have a book, and Culture Shop, Blue Edition, they have everything you will need to tell everybody I went to Trinidad and Tobago, right? A nice coffee
Yes.
table book, a book for your friends, something to remember about Trinidad and Tobago. And when I saw the clip you all had of your store, right? So you did
Yeah.
a little TikTok video of people, just a browse of your store, and I really liked the variety of books that I saw, right? And the fact that you all do not just fiction, but you also do cultural stuff, things that would be of interest, and talk to the culture, speak to the culture, bring back up the culture, calypso, history, all of those things. We have so many authors who are doing that kind of work. Last week I spoke to an author, Sunsets for Betty. That's a fiction, and that is inspired by the Mystery Tombstone in Plymouth. And that's a book that people, they should be at Blue Edition. You know, do you all
Yes.
ever hear about books, Roland, and say, I want a book in my store and find the author? Or is it that the authors have to come to you? How does it work?
Um, Sometimes we look online and we see books that might be of interest and we order them. That's if they come from outside, but not necessarily locally produced books, because that's another the difference between online and outside books and locally produced books is a different thing altogether too. But I feel like if that's a conversation for a different day,
Well, it
you know.
sounds
But
so.
yeah, yeah. But we it's mainly if they are online that we look and we see what we could order. But if it's already available on Amazon, that doesn't give us. We tend to see if it could give us a competitive advantage. You know. So if
With the
it's
price.
online at Amazon, yeah, and the price. If it's too expensive or if it's too widely available, we wouldn't, because we are so niche. The Blue Edition is so niche. We really curate the books that we have for sale. You know.
Yeah, and I know a lot of authors would value that about your bookstore, that you don't, it's not a run-of-the-mill, take everything bookstore, right? Everything
Yeah.
on the kitchen sink in here. That's not how you'll operate. You'll really take
No.
time to figure out what is the book about, does it fit in with our ethos at Blue Edition? And I really like that because then it becomes a sort of store where you say, I know what you like to read. I will send you by Blue Edition. You know that kind of way? I know this reader, the kind of books you like, the kind of things you're looking for, you're gonna find it at Blue Edition. And I like that your store has that distinction, that a person could say that about the store. Before we start to wrap up, Rawle-Ann, I had a question. When we talk about displays for authors, right? When we talk about that, is it something that an author can come with, right? I had one author, she has, those little stands for your picture. It looks like
Yeah.
a L when you close it, and she has those.
Yeah.
And every time we had a book sale at Writers Guild, she would put out her stand. Another author, he did a piece of artwork with his book cover, right? So that he could put this out and draw attention to his book and have persons come over, so he kind of stood out. What does an author need to do to, and this is just an example from your experience, what does an author need to do to stand out about, out of the crowd, above the noise of the other authors? How do they distinguish themselves, or how can they distinguish themselves in the market, in your opinion?
Well, I like the idea of them bringing their own displays. The only thing is, because our space is so small, they would need to come and see it first before they have something that's too large and we cannot accommodate it at the Blue Edition, you know? So the smaller, the kind of picture frame that you talked about just now would be good because you could always position it, change it from the left to the right, move it around. It's movable in that way. Um, so I agree with the display frames. I would also, this isn't directly linked to a bookstore, but I feel like because the writings of our authors, it's so rich, I feel as though we could make connections to events that happen on the outside. So if I could just draw a quick example, right? If you write in a cookbook, you can have a video of yourself using a recipe from the cookbook. You tag the places that have the cookbook available. When you are recording yourself, you also include that information about where your cookbook is available. If you have a children's book, maybe part of it as part of a book reading, you could do a short extract. You could have different voices if it's a children's book. That kind of connection that I'm talking about, in terms of thinking outside of just having the book in the book format. It's about creating different media out of it. That's where my brain goes when I think of that,
I
you know.
really love that idea of the person who has a cookbook cooking the food, right? Doing a recipe from their book, probably displaying it and saying, if you want to cook this as well, you can get my book here, there, Blue Edition might be one of those spaces. I really love that idea. I'm going to take that and run with it because let me tell you, when I go home and I'm making my coconut water smoothies, right? I'm gonna tag Tobago, I'm gonna tag Kieran across the road, I'm gonna tag everybody. Listen, Rawle-Ann, it was such a pleasure having you with us here today to talk about all the things that an author doesn't hear every day, right? The consignment agreement, the keywords that you need, your elevator pitch, having your own display, right? Doing your research before you choose or pick a bookstore to visit and have your book at. I really thank you for the wealth of information you've shared with us today. the chair is waiting for you. So next time you're in Tobago, please
Yes, for
come visit
sure.
us at Tobago Updates. And I have a glass here, a glass waiting on you, so we could cheers to coconut
Yes,
water and our drinks
for
in
sure.
person, right? So cheers to
For
you,
sure, for
Rawle-Ann.
sure.
It was lovely having you. Thank you, viewers out there, for sticking with us today. Please know that you can find us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. We will repost this because it's really good information for authors to be able to pick at and figure out what you want to do. So cheers to you. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Happy hump day to you.